Hello, everybody. My name is Andrey Prozorov. I'm here. And let's discuss about mind maps. Who I am? My name is Andrey Prozorov. I'm cybersecurity and privacy expert with 16 years of experience. I'm a cybersecurity privacy guy. I work with GDPR, ISO 27001, NIST cybersecurity, risk management, governance, and something like that. I'm like a security manager, methodology manager. I'm located in Helsinki, Finland. Hello. Here in Helsinki, it's 6:30 p.m. I have been creating mind maps since 2008, so I have more than 15 years of experience in mind mapping. And as you can see, it's really a good match with my work experience. So I think mind mapping creates me as a professional, as a security and privacy professional. And I think it's a really useful solution, a very useful approach to personal growing. And during this presentation, I will show some tips, tricks, and my mind maps. For these 15 years, I have made more than 1,000 mind maps. It's amazing. I have never counted before preparing this presentation, but I just try to find some mind maps on my Mac, and I have found thousands of them. So it's really interesting that I have a lot of experience in creating mind maps, and I will share it with you. Of course, you can find some of my mind maps on Beagle Plate. It's a service when creators share their mind maps. Of course, you can download my cybersecurity and privacy mind maps if you like this topic on my Patreon. So you can find a lot of mind maps. And during this presentation, I will share many of them with you, and I will present how to create them, how to use them. So this is about me. I have a lot of interesting experience in cybersecurity, but you are here, as I know, it's more about, it's not about cybersecurity and privacy, it's more about mind mapping, and let's focus on this topic firstly. Of course, if we're talking about mind management and mind maps, I hope you know this topic. I don't want to give you some common information about this approach, about the author of this approach. So you can see the core information, the main information on this mind map about mind maps. So it's a funny thing, but I think that all professionals who like mind maps should create mind maps about mind maps. So I really recommend to do it because it's a really interesting experience, and it helps you improve your skills in mind mapping and understand the core principles of mind mapping. For example, adding some coloring, pictures, emoji, and something like that. So this is my mind map about mind maps. You can download it on my Patreon. You can download it on LinkedIn account. And during this presentation, I don't plan to share simple information about mind mapping because I think you know how to create mind map, what kind of solution using for creating mind maps. I would like to share with you my personal experience and maybe some advanced tips and tricks how to use mind mapping. So let's move on. But of course, if you're interested in this mind map, you can download it and learn it by yourself. This is another example of mind map. During this presentation, I will show you a lot of different mind maps, and this presentation is prepared firstly in Xmind, and I use just some pictures to add on slides. So it's a simple agenda for today. I'm planning to explain my journey in mind mapping, highlight some significant findings during my journey, discuss about creating mind maps on laptop, tablets, or smartphone. I will show you a lot of examples, and I will share with you some maybe advanced, some unexpected tips and tricks how to use Xmind, how to use mind maps in a better way. So, of course, we have sometimes 4 questions. Just feel free to put them on the chat, and I will answer by the end of the presentation. So it's our agenda for today. First of all, I would like to share with you my journey. I'm a little bit upset because I wish I had known more about mind maps at university and school. And I created my first mind map in 2008, and that time I had finished my university. So if I know this approach during my university or especially school time, I could be more efficient student. So a little bit upset about that. But no, the way I made mind map in 2008, my supervisor told me about them and showed me how to create them. And after that, I started to do it by myself and do it regularly. I have tried a lot of different services, software, and I think around 7 years, maybe 9 years ago, I tried to use Xmind because of 2 important things for me. One of them, it's about Mac and iPad compatibility, because that time it was a problem. I created some mind maps on PC, and then I opened them on Mac. They was crashed. The core structure was different. The links, reference, changed, nothing like that. And it was strange for me. That's why I tried to find another solution, and I found Xmind. And many years ago, it was really nice, and I could use them. I could use Xmind to create mind maps on Mac and on PC, and the final files was similar on different platforms. It was the main feature that I chose my Xmind many years ago. And the second one was a good balance of price and quality, and now I'm really happy with the solution. So now I'm 90% satisfied with Xmind, but I'm expecting more markers and stickers. As you can see, I use a lot of different pictures, emojis, and something like that. And I hope that in the future version of Xmind, there would be more examples of markers and stickers. And of course, I'm expecting more formatting capabilities, formatting options for mind map. But 90% it's okay with Xmind from my point of view. So I have created more than 1,000 mind maps, and I think I have a lot of experience in that. And the most important thing that I think that mind management as approach is a great tool for improving my personal efficiency in business context, like a cybersecurity expert and consultant, and on my personal home purposes, like a common user, I think. I would like to highlight 3 significant findings during my journey. The first one, it's mind map is an ideal document format for me because you can create mind map and try to align them on one page. It's easy to read, it's easy to print, and it's easy to share it with your colleagues, with your friends, because if you save your mind map in a PDF file, it's a common documents to this you can open on different platform on your iPhone, on your Mac, on your PC, and there is no problem with that type of files. If you're talking about mind map, I like this format because you can collect only the most important information on the slide, and all information is presented in very well user-friendly structure. So I like mind maps, and that's why I create a lot of them. So the second thing, that's why I like mind mapping. It's a really nice tool to start. If you have if you're procrastinating, or if you don't know how to start, just start to create mind map. For example, if you starting to learn new topics, for example, English, Chinese, Finnish language, or you can start new hobby. For example, I will present you my mind map about golf. You can start to creating some mind map and add some core terms, some features, and interesting ideas on that, and it's maybe really good starting point for doing something, some projects, some education, and something like that. So mind mapping is a great starting point to do a lot of things. And of course, I like mind maps because it's a really nice it's a really nice approach how to spend time. You can create it, you can add some funny pictures, you can create your own emojis and that in mind map. So it's really, sometimes it's really funny time when you create mind maps. So it's I think three most important things which I found during my journey of mind mapping. The second topic which I would like to discuss with you, it's about platform where you can create it. It's not about maybe software, it's more about hardware. So I tried different styles of mind mapping. I tried different software and tried to create mind maps on Mac, PC, iPad, iPhone, and of course I tried to create them by hand drawing. So from my point of view, using laptop is the best options how to create, edit, and read mind maps, because its screen is quite enough to see the whole picture. It's easy to change it, it's easy to create, and now I'm creating, I think, 99% of mind map on laptop. Of course, you can use tablets, for example, iPad. It's not bad on larger display. For example, if your screen is quite big, it's a better option than, for example, iPad Pro is better than iPad Mini for creating mind map, and especially when you're using some split screen. For example, on one half of screen you can create mind map, and on second one you can read some YouTube or watch some YouTube or read some book or something like that. So it's really useful, but usually it's not quite good as you expected. And of course, using mind map on tablets, it's a good idea to buy Apple Pencil for that. And using it, it's quite useful. Well, I tried to create mind maps on smartphone, and from my point of view, it's a really bad idea because the screen is small. So I use my iPhone only for reading. And as I mentioned previously, I try to save all my mind maps in PDF format, so you can open them on your iPhone without special software, and it's really useful. I tried to create mind maps by hand drawing, but it's maybe nice, but I don't like it because General idea of mind mapping, it's creating an organizing structure, so it's easy to use some special software. So it's just my experience. Of course, you can use it's everywhere, and as you know, the first mind maps was hand drawing, but this time it's better to use special software for that. Of course, I tried different types of softwares and services, and I think that for creating mind maps, you have to choose special software just for mind mapping. For example, Xmind. So during this presentation, I would like to share with you some examples, some examples of my mind maps for business, for personal growing, and let's see some of them. First of all, I think creating mind maps, it's a really starting point to education. You can do it for anything you want. For example, 6 years ago, I started playing golf. So I create this map about golf terms, and it was really useful for me to understand core terms and have a nice conversation with other players, with my coach, and something like that. For example, it's just only one topic for golf. I use it for my current hobbies. It's like everyday cares, like something like EDC stuff. I made it for cycling. I made it for my wardrobe, my clothes, and there are a lot of things that you can put on the mind map. So it's a really good idea to use mind map when for your hobby, for your education, and something like that. So that's one of my example. As I mentioned, I'm a cybersecurity and privacy expert, and my area of expertise is cybersecurity management, cybersecurity governance, and I regularly work with a lot of documents, standards, guidelines, and something like that. So I create some mind maps about some specific cybersecurity standards, some specific privacy requirements. On this slide, you can see a couple of examples of mind maps about famous cybersecurity standards. It's a ISO 27001, Information Security Management System requirements. I use it regularly, and for many of my tasks, it's easiest to work with some simple mind maps than work with original standards in my everyday projects or tasks. So a couple of mind maps about this standard. I'm a privacy expert, so I work with different legislation in different countries. For example, my core expertise is GDPR. It's European requirements. So on the first mind map, you can see a mind map about GDPR. If you like privacy as me, or if you are in Europe, or you're concerned about your personal data, you can use this mind map to understand how personal data processed in Europe. On the second one, on the second mind map, you can see the new Indian Data Protection Bill, Data Protection Act, which was published a couple of weeks ago. So it's a new one, and now sometimes I work with it, and I have prepared some simple mind map to understand better how it works, to understand better core terms, to understand better core requirements of this new act. So you can use mind map to collect, to gather, to align some information about some topics: GDPR, privacy, cybersecurity, and so on. The next mind maps, it's about book. I like to read. I do it regularly, and most of books which I read. They are some business book or some book about privacy or cybersecurity. And of course, if we're talking about some book like that, it's easy to collect some important things from this book, some topics, some examples in a main management format. This is one book about measurement, and another one is about cybersecurity operation center. So you can use mind mapping to collect some information from book, and it's a really nice idea to understand them more. And of course, it's really good to review your knowledge in a couple of weeks, months, years ago after reading. So you can use this mind map to refresh your memory. The next topic, I think it's my favorite one, about how to use my mind map. It's preparation for exam. Now I'm preparing for CompTIA project plus certification. It's one of exam about project management. So now I'm creating a set of mind maps about that. The biggest one is the core information about this certification, about domains, about certification authorities, about information about exam. For example, price, exam focus, number of questions, length of test, and something like that. And I usually do it like a first mind map about certifications, and after that, I'm preparing some topic-specific mind maps. You can see a couple of them on the slide. So now I'm preparing for this exam. I think I will pass it maybe this year. I don't have a strict schedule for that, but I'm preparing. So I think using mind map, it's a really good idea to collect your all information about the topic and prepare for exam, because it's really good to understand some topics and really a good approach to refresh your memory before the exam. So I really recommend do something like that. So I made a lot of mind maps for exam preparation, for example, for some privacy, for some security, and you can find them on my Patreon if you like that. So, but from my point of view, it's a most important and most valuable topic, how to use mind maps, just exam preparation. I have a lot of certifications, cybersecurity privacy certifications, and I think mind management, it's a really valuable thing that usually helps me to prepare for that certification effectively. So we can use mind maps not only for business context, not only for education. I really like it to use mind maps for my planning my life, planning my goals, planning my priorities. On this slide, you can see not the whole mind maps. It's like a template of my goals and priorities for this year, for last year, for next year. I use the same structure for that, and I do it before the new year every year, and I review this mind map during the year. I think regularly. It's maybe every 2 months, maybe every 3 months. I review it and add something or review some goals. You can see some topics which I try to add here. For example, it's my vision, it's my high level goals. For example, it's a real example here. One of my mega goals, my big goals here, it's improve my health. And I have some, I like cycling, so I have some measurement. It's like VO2 max. It's like really interesting measurement for cyclists, and now I'm planning to improve it. So it's my goal for maybe a couple of years. I have usually I have 3 priorities for the year. This year I have priorities to improve my Patreon account, to improve my health and sport, and to improve my English. And for every year, I have from 3 to 5 top goals, and I try to create 10 to 12 general goals, which aligned with quarters. For New Year's, I'm planning to make purchases. For example, for this year, I had a plan for buying a new MacBook, and I had some task for sparkling life. It's like something that's interesting to your life. Visited something, vacation, or something like that. So you can use that templates for your own planning and reporting, and I really like it, and I have been using it, I think, for maybe 7 years, something like that, and I'm happy with the structure. The next topic, the next template, it's my common templates of minutes of meeting. I use it regularly, not for all my meetings, but for many of them. It's easiest and simplest template how to collect all information from meetings. What is the topic, what is the agenda, who is the host, attendees, conclusions, tasks and actions, and something like that. So using a mind map, it's a really simple approach how to collect all information. And after the meeting, you can export it, the file in PDF and send all attendees. So I really like it, and I use the similar templates regularly. The next topic, how can I use some mind maps? It's preparing some checklists, preparing some roadmaps, preparing some plans. For example, on the first slide, you can see the first 9 days of DPO, data protection officers in your organization. And the second one, it's a new revision, it's updated version of the first one. So you can use mind map to create some checklists and use your mind map to improve that in the future. So I really like it, and I like the structure. And I regularly make some mind maps, for example, for roadmaps, for plans, and something like that. For personal plans, for business plans, for improving something, I really like it. What's next? As I mentioned previously, I have my Patreon account. So on Patreon, I'm gathering toolkits for privacy and cybersecurity, and using mind maps is really useful thing how to organize my library. For example, you can see the mind map here. It's it's all information about my privacy library, all my templates, and of course I can prepare some common documents about them. And you can see that there are 8 pages of documents which contain the similar information. So I have both of document on my library, and if I'm planning to change something, if I'm planning to understand some gaps in my documents, or prepare some reference, or change the structure, the whole structure, of course I use mind maps, because it's a really nice mind maps, and it helps me to understand the whole structure of my library. So it's a nice example. Of course, it's work in both directions. So not always mind maps is the best format for presenting some information. On this slide, you can see the same information in different formats. One is a spreadsheet, the second one, and one of them is a mind map. And as you can see, the spreadsheet is better format for preparing this, for presenting this information, all of them on one side, on one page, and the second option is the better. So I create a lot of mind maps, but I don't think that mind maps is silver bullet for everything. So I can choose another options. But from my point of view, mind maps, it's a really good idea for many of documents. As I mentioned previously, I have created a lot of mind maps, and it's easy to find them if you use some prefix on your files. For example, I use XM before the name of mind maps, so it's easy to find all my maps on my laptop. And as you can see, I usually save them not only in Xmind format and also in PDF, and sometimes it's PNG. It's easy to find, it's easy to search, it's easy to share them. And as you can see, it's around 3,000 items here, but I think it's around maybe 80% of my mind maps in that list. I would like to share with you some non-obvious tips. I think you know obvious tips how to create mind maps, or if not, you can use my first mind maps about mind maps. So first of all, save mind maps also in PDF. It's easy for reading. I read all my maps usually in PDF files. It's easiest way to read because you can open it on your laptop, iPhone, iPad. It's easy to print and something like that. Of course, interesting idea to add some prefix, as I mentioned previously, XM, to easy searching your mind maps on your laptop. I create a lot of mind maps, so I have made some different templates for different topics. For example, I have some special templates for cybersecurity, for privacy, for English lessons. There are different colors, different structures, different set of emojis. The next tip, I recommend use some similar stickers for the same topics. For example, if I create some overview mind map about some standards or documents, the first one is always intro and I use a hot air balloon as a simple icon for that. And I use this symbol for terms, so common terms. I really like different options how to add additional information on mind maps. For example, I like label. I use it to add information about date of creation, version of mind map, and I usually add my name because I spread my mind maps in LinkedIn, in Patreon, and in different platforms, and it's easy way to understand who the creator of this mind map, and it's easy way to find me if you need it, for example, to ask some questions. So I use label all times for that. And the next and the last important things, it's about balancing. So I really recommend you balance your mind maps for A4 printing using different approach. For example, after balance map, branch reposition, it's common options for in Xmind. You can change your structure to align your mind map to better printing in A4. And of course, if you have a lot of information, sometimes, it's not often, I think it's only by maybe 1 or maybe 2% of all mind maps, it's a good idea to create set of mind maps and don't put everything on one. So I really recommend to focus on A4 printing, then creating mind maps and try to balance it before finalizing. So I think yes, it's everything I would like to share with you. So now we have 10 minutes, maybe more, for your questions, comments, and let's discuss. Please give me your feedback. Please give me your questions. I hope I highlight some interesting ideas, highlight some interesting points, and maybe inspires you. So, well, let's discuss. Yeah. Yeah, please give me your questions, and now I try to read some of them in chat. Of course, you can download this presentation. I will upload it on my LinkedIn. I think I'll do it today, and you can find this one in Xmind account, and Stacy will send you link to the records. Okay, question: how do I start the presentation in Xmind? Yeah, I've told about that. Let's highlight it one more time. I choose Xmind, then my previous solution. Then I faced problems with my previous solution to open some one file on different platform, Mac and PC, and it was a problem for many softwares that date, and there were no problem with Xmind. So I choose Xmind because of that. So I can open the one Xmind file on my PC and the same file on my Mac, and the screen and my map was similar. It's common expectations, but many years ago it was a problem for different platforms. And now I'm satisfied with Xmind, so I worked with it. Yeah, something else. Okay, yeah, I understand the question. Usually, I start to make something on Xmind. I think sometimes, for example, if I'm not in my office, and if I don't have my laptop with me, I can start to add some text, some topics or notes, and after that copy paste them to Xmind. But if I have my laptop with me, I start to create my maps in Xmind. Because Xmind, it's a my manager software. It's a really good software to create mind maps. You can change structure, you can add some topics, you can hide some topics, and it's better to make something on text file previously. But of course, as I mentioned previously, it's a bigger problem to use Xmind and similar solution on smartphone. So if you have some inspiration and if you planning to make some mind maps laterally, you can add some words in your notes, and after that copy paste in Xmind. Yeah, let's more. Just give me more questions. Yes, you can find me in LinkedIn if you have some private questions, or if you can have some private comments. Yeah, please find me on LinkedIn. I'll share it with you one more time, the link. Another question about most fun parts and challenging parts for using Xmind. The most fun parts, from my point of view, it's balancing. It's about adding some pictures, colors, something to add some visual benefits to your Xmind, your main map. I think it's funny things. Just choosing some pictures, choosing some emoji. It's the funniest one. The challenging parts, I think it's about creating a mind map on larger documents. For example, okay, if we're talking about, let's talk about some examples. On this slide, you can see General Data Protection Regulation. It's GDPR. And the second one, it's Indian Data Protection Act. Indian Data Protection Act, it's a simple and short documents, around 30 pages, maybe 25. And if you're talking about GDPR, it's around 60, 70. And sometimes if you have some documents larger, it may be challenging to create one map about core requirements or core terms from that. But usually I'm successful with that. Okay, other questions, comments? So today I have presented only some examples. Of course, I can use mind maps for many other different things. Project management, task management, some CRM things, or maybe something more. I think you can try to use mind maps for your own tasks, but I think you will agree with me that mind maps is really useful and efficient tool for creating, to collect something, to thinking, I think. Okay, if you have some questions, or if you don't, if you have some questions, just give me something. Give me some emoji on the chat. And I would like to thank you to Stacy, who invited me to this webinar. Thank you so much, and I'm happy to be here, and I'm proud to be here. And I hope my knowledge, my experience is valuable for you. And let's be in touch. And if you like my mind maps, you can find more. And of course, I'm expect that you will create your own mind maps and you will share it with community. Thank you so much.